Welcome to the Success Playbook by Expertrons and Shine. Walk into any supermarket today and you'll see oats everywhere. But here's what most consumers don't realize. Not all oats are created equal. Some are mass produced commodities, others come directly from the farm where the grain is grown. Now, here's where it gets interesting. India's oats market is already over $500 million dollars and growing over 8% annually, and is now entering a premiumization phase. Consumers are no longer just buying oats, they are starting to care about origin, quality, and traceability. Today's story is about bringing 100% Australian grown oats from Western Australia to Indian breakfast tables. Today, I have Pradeep and Eleni with me, who are the founders of the Australian Food Company, a platform connecting Australian food producers with global market in India. Eleni and Pradeep, really glad to have both of you here today, and thanks for being here to share your story today. How are you doing, Eleni?
Really well. Thank you for having me on the show.
And how are you doing, Pradeep?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. What made you start the Australian Food Company?
Australia is renowned for the quality of our farming and the grains that we produce. And India is one of our close friends, and we do a lot of trade with India in all different areas. So it just seemed like a natural relationship that was there to be nurtured. And we're really proud at the Australian Food Company for the relationship that we've built with India and the fact that we can bring beautiful quality grains and oats in particular to the Indian marketplace.
Very interesting. And how did you decide on that this is the right time to enter the Indian market?
Oats is becoming very popular in India. I'm sure that you've noticed the Indian people are beginning to really understand the nutritional benefits of eating oats. And just with the oats market growing so rapidly, it just seemed like the perfect time for us to enter into the Indian market.
Very interesting and good to know. Pradeep, this is for you. Bringing an international food brand into India is never easy. And so where does Ozbreak fits into this story? And more importantly, are you building just distribution or something much larger in terms of the network which you're trying to build with Ozbreak?
Yeah, honestly, I would say we are not building a typical FMCG distribution setup. Most brands push products into the market and then they hope it sells. We are doing it the other way around. We are building the market first, territory by territory. Each geography is treated almost like its own business unit. So there is ownership, accountability, and a clear structure across channels, whether it's general trade, modern trade, Horeca, or e-commerce. So yeah, it's omni-channel. Technically, it's not distribution, but in reality, it's market creation with structure.
Very interesting. And of course, you have worked with companies like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Cadbury. What's the lesson from those companies that you feel a new food brand like completely underestimates?
There is one thing I have learned working with companies like Pepsi or Cadbury. It's that distribution wins market, not marketing as such. Ads can create awareness, but availability creates revenue, which is ultimately important for any business. So these companies are obsessive about basics, outlet coverage, supply consistency, visibility execution. And honestly, most new brands underestimate this. They jump into branding too early. We have flipped that. So we are building the backbone first, the distribution muscle, because once that's in place, scaling becomes predictable. It becomes easy.
Very interesting and very nicely put, Pradeep. Of course, like Eleni, this one is to you. If you had to explain it in a simple language, like what actually makes Australian oats different and from what consumers typically find on their shelves. So how would you do that to the consumers?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Our Australian oats are distinguished by the farming methods, I would say, to begin with. So our oat farms are irrigated just by the rainwater, so it's fresh rainwater. We've got very clear blue skies, so really nice clean air, and our soils are very rich. So it's the perfect farming conditions, along with the practices of our farmers who take great pride in looking after their farms and their crops to the very, very highest of standards. And I think that that's what sets us apart. and ends up producing the most beautiful premium oats.
Very interesting and very nicely put. Of course, consumer awareness is at all-time high, and one thing that stands out is, of course, traceability. And you are, of course, you are connected with like non-GMO production, export grade quality. But for a consumer or a distributor, why does it even actually matters?
Well, it does matter because I think people are becoming a lot more conscious about what they're eating and the quality of the food that they're eating, and also where it comes from. They don't want to eat something that they don't know the story behind it and the way that it's been grown, the way that it's been processed, manufactured, and then delivered to them. So I think that it's really important. People are becoming very, very aware of where their food actually is grown and where it comes from.
Very nicely put, Eleni, and good to know. I mean, you have put quality over all the other factors. Of course, distribution is one part, but like where it is coming from, how is the product for the consumer, and how are the health benefits, all of that becomes really, really important. Of course, given that adulteration is also at all-time high, especially in the consumer market, like basic food items are also adulterated, so traceability kind of takes care of things like those as well. Pradeep, this is for you. We are not just seeing oats as breakfast anymore. It's expanding into snacks, protein format, and like multiple menu items within India. And like, why do you think this shift is happening right now?
Yeah, we have seen oats have quietly moved from being just a breakfast product, and they shift. Actually, the shift is coming from real life changes, and they are becoming more and more a nutritious ingredient. People have less time, but they are thinking more about health. So now oats are showing up everywhere: snacks, protein blends, meal replacements, even Horeca menus. You can find oats are finding more and more important place in the menus. So we are not really riding a trend here. We are riding a category evolution as such.
Very interesting. I mean, this is actually true for the Indian consumers, and really good to know that how the consumers are, of course, adopting oats into their multiple food formats which they are consuming. Pradeep, another follow up to this would be like most food brands scale through retail expansion, but you're trying to build it in a very different way. Why do you think it is more scalable or more defensible?
Yeah, the traditional model is pretty fragmented. It's highly unorganized. You appoint distributors, push inventory, and then you hope it moves. What we are building is much more structured. Each territory has defined partners, clear revenue streams, and a multi-channel approach from day one. Because we operate across channels simultaneously, we create both push and pull, and that's the key. It doesn't just scale faster, it scale more sustainably.
Very interesting, Pradeep. Of course, I mean this is more about your product, but of course would love to know more about how did both of you kind of get in touch, and how did you decide on kind of working on this together, and where does all of this passion kind of comes from? So would love to, of course, ask that to either of you. So maybe whosoever would like to take this question. Yeah.
Well, we've got a very, very, very funny story, don't we, Pradeep? We came across each other actually on LinkedIn, but
Oh,
I
wow.
think that you were also I was also the member of Parliament, and you were living in my electorate as well too. So we were familiar with each other through there, but I guess it was just an alignment of where we were at and what we actually wanted to achieve it in our next stage of our careers. So we were both at that point where, we were very curious about doing some work with India, with Pradeep's Indian background, of course, and my experience here and my connections here. And it just kind of evolved from there, Pradeep.
Yeah, that's true. Very interesting.
I think that's really really good to know, because the chemistry between team members working on a product, of course, defines the success of a product as well. So really good to know how it all kind of came together. And Eleni, how does your passion for all of this kind of comes? Like how did you get into kind of founding this company?
Yeah. Well, again, as I said, like we got together with Pradeep and had a bit of a talk about, how, what would it look like doing some work between Australia and India. And with the research that we did and the time that Pradeep has, spent in India and his background, it just seemed like a very natural choice to go with the oats.
Amazing.
I've got to say, we did have a few attempts at a few different things, but landed on the oats, and we just haven't looked back. Haven't looked back at all. It's been really interesting. I just wanted to add as well too, what's been really great about working with Pradeep too is we found that there's a lot of similarities between our cultures. So I'm born in Australia and raised in Australia, but I have a Greek heritage. My parents are from Greece, and there's a lot of similarities between the Indian culture and my family's Greek heritage as well too, which has been, I
Wow.
think that's been, a very pleasant experience to learn more about the Indian culture and all the similarities that we have there.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. I think this is so good to know. And how did you kind of get into kind of working with farmers, into kind of nutrition, into oats, like more on the management or business side? So yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm lucky in my, previous roles. I've managed to create lots of connections. So it was very easy for me to become connected with the farmers and the grain handlers, and a lot of that actually came through GIWA, which is an organisation which is the grains industry of Western Australia. Yeah, just a lot of learning and meeting with people and visiting farms, and that was actually just it's one of the best parts of this role that we've got. Getting onto the farms and actually seeing for ourselves and talking to the farmers and actually watching the oats grow. It's just stunning. It's really great fun.
Very interesting. I mean, that's so nice to know about how kind of you got into this, and of course, clearly visible from your passion about the Australian food company and about oats, of course, overall. Pradeep, for you, of course, if someone is evaluating this as an opportunity, one of our listeners who are considering this as the next opportunity for them, like who do you think would be the right partner for Ozbreak, and who do you think would not fit into the role?
Yeah, so this isn't for someone who just want or just looking for trade margins. It's much beyond that. So the ideal partner is someone who is thinking long term, someone who wants to actually build a market. They need strong local understanding, ability to build a team,
Interesting.
which is very important, and willingness to invest in distribution. That these three things are, the combination of these three things makes the ideal partner for us. And if someone is looking for
Interesting.
quick turnover, then this model wouldn't work for them. But for the right partner, this becomes a scalable business, not just a product line. So that's our perspective is.
Very interesting and very nicely put, Pradeep. Of course, if you look at the current market, brands like Quaker, Saffola dominates the category, largely competing on price. But on the premium segment, origin-led segment, those are still under developed. So, like what is that the gap you're trying to bridge? Like, how do you see Osbreak kind of getting placed in which category, and how do you see it kind of going in which sector?
Yeah, so if you look at the market today, the mass segment is already dominated, and it's only very price driven.
Right.
We are not trying to compete there. The real opportunity is in the premium original plate segment, which is still underdeveloped and it's evolving. Consumers are starting to care about where the food comes from, how it's grown, and consistency of quality. That's very
Right.
important. They are seeking these days. So we are not
Right.
entering the existing fight. We are
Right.
building a new layer in the market.
Amazing. I think that makes complete sense, because you even look at other products, the class which is expecting healthy food, or at least the mass premium or the premium segment is one of the segments which is growing really fastest in India, with more and more people having that disposable income to kind of spend on their health, on wellness, a lot of these segments. So of course it makes complete sense to kind of bridge that gap in the market. Right now, of course, your focus is oats, but clearly this is bigger than that. So, are you kind of trying to build a product brand, or nutrition platform for India? Like how do you look at the SKUs kind of growing? Pradeep, to you first, and then of course would like to know Eleni's thought on that as well.
Yeah, so specifically on the India side, the vision is very clear. We want to build one of the most structured, scalable nutrition distribution networks in the country. So that's going to be territory by territory, partner by partner, and once that backbone is in place, you can scale multiple categories on top of it, not just oats.
Right. It makes complete sense. So, Eleni, from you also, like what are your thoughts on the product, and how do you kind of look at how the product line will increase as your distribution, of course, gets better?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Pradeep just said, actually, Jayden, because there's an endless supply of healthy alternatives and products that we can supply from Australia. And one of those is actually lupins. Western Australia grows 80% of the world's lupins. So we're really looking forward to introducing the highly nutritious lupins into the market as well, too. But yeah, there's a lot of products in the pipeline. So we're really excited about that.
Amazing, amazing. And any of your, I mean, of course, entrepreneurial journey is of course a long one, and of course you of course start with an idea, and of course then you keep pivoting, you keep getting different ideas, you keep getting different experiences. Would you like to kind of share any of your things, any of your experiences which kind of, or testimonials from your customers which kind of keeps you going every day? Because it's of course not an easy one. So Eleni, maybe I'll start with you, because of course you have been running the Australian food company for such a long time. So happy to know where any such experience which kind of keeps you going every single day.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a difficult journey starting a new company and introducing a new way of thinking in terms of origin-based food. But the feedback that we keep getting time and time again is that people really appreciate knowing where their food is coming from, and that's what really keeps us focused and driven.
Any experience in particular, any customer experience in particular you would like to share here?
Yeah, I might do something a bit more specific then. I think that's what you're asking. It's always very exciting when you get your first positive response to the oats, and I've got to think back to the very first one, but it was just that positive feedback, where the customer really appreciated knowing that the oats that they were eating were actually Australian origin oats.
Good to know that. And Pradeep, of course, for you, I wanted to know what is the vision in terms of what numbers would you like to kind of eye for in the next 3 years, next 5 years? Or will it be from the customer end? Will it be in terms of your sales? Will it be in terms of the farmers you impact? Like what kind of impact metrics or what kind of numbers are you kind of chasing in terms of the goal for your company? So in the next 3 to 5 years, what are the targets you're eyeing for?
Yeah, so just to put things in perspective, India's oats market is already over 4,000 crore and growing close to 10% annually.
Wow.
But the premium segment is still under penetrated. And that's where our focus is going to be. What we are building at Ozbreak is a structured distribution network that can scale to about, say, 150 to 200 crore annually, and reach over 1 million households within the first year itself.
Very interesting. I think this is amazing, and I'm sure with the kind of passion I see in both of you, and with the kind of product which you're kind of bringing in, I'm sure these milestones will just be something you'll achieve, and then you'll set newer goals for yourself in the next few years. Amazing to know about your story. Quickly, let's start rapid fire round, and I would love short answers from the both of you. For Eleni, of course, we'll start with you first, and would love to ask some rapid fire questions to you. So let's begin. One thing that defines the Australian grain quality?
Nutritional.
Amazing. And your favorite oats recipe?
I like my oats warm with milk and a bit of fruit and berries.
Amazing. One thing that global consumers admire about Australian agriculture?
Our clean farming practices and our very rich soil.
Amazing. The Australian food company in one word?
Premium.
Nicely put. Pradeep, for you, what is the biggest mistake distributors make when scaling FMCG brands?
Changing width before depth.
Amazing. And that's why I see why you are only launching oats first and then kind of chasing the bit later. One trait every successful distributor partner must have.
Discipline.
Very interesting. And one Indian market you are excited to expand into next?
South India, especially tier 1.
And Ozbreak Foods in one word.
Structure.
Amazing. But this, I mean, really good to have the both of you on the episode. This is not just about oats, it's about how a category is evolving from mass consumption to how it is getting into premium segment, from origin-led brands to finally a structured distribution network, from Australian farms to Indian household tables. So this is the story of a quality system, long-term thinking, and I'm really glad that I have Eleni and Pradeep joining us today. And thanks for being present today and sharing your story, Eleni and Pradeep. I enjoyed our conversation thoroughly. This is the Success Playbook, where business becomes blueprints. And I was joined by Pradeep and Eleni today. Thanks for joining today. It was lovely to have this conversation.